So let's get started. Okay, the obvious place to start when talking about gun control is to talk some classic literature, right? A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. Here's how it starts out. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. What's that have to do with gun control? Well, in some ways, it's where we're at right now, isn't it? It really is the best of times. Think about the communication, the transportation, all the great things that are happening in the world. There's so many good things happening, a great time to be alive. And yet on the other side of the coin, it's the worst of times, isn't it? A lot of our freedoms are getting stripped away, and a lot of us don't even realize it. We're apathetic or ignorant to the fact that that's occurring. And so it is the best of times, it is the worst of times. Another reason I use that as this intro to a classic piece of literature is a play on words, because I'm going to tell you today two tales of one city. Okay, Charles Dickens had a tale of two cities. I'm going to tell you two tales of one city. And here's the first tale. The location is Aurora, Colorado. And by the time I get just a few slides into this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The location is a theater full of people attending the premiere of the latest Batman movie. The time is 12:38 a.m., July 20th, 2012. Okay, you know this already. The perpetrator is James Egan Holmes. The victims are 12 dead, at least 50 injured and wounded. The tragedy is known as armed to defend themselves, okay? My understanding is in Aurora, Colorado, there's about 7 movie theaters, and only 2 of them are gun-free zones, and James Egan Holmes chose one of the gun-free zone theaters. Why? He wouldn't have competition. His clip jammed, he needed to change guns, which is exactly what happened. He wouldn't have any competition, would he? He'd be able to do whatever he wanted to do, his evil acts, because no one was armed to defend themselves. The impact, well, millions mourn. This is a huge international event, wasn't it? They grieve, and they should. Government leaders, though, advocate gun control as the solution to this and all other future tragedies. We want to make sure this doesn't happen, because guns kill people. We got to make sure, we got to pull guns out of people's hands. No one should have guns. Okay? Now, the second tale of one city happens to be the same city, Aurora, Colorado. The location is a local church building. The date is almost exactly to the day 3 months prior to the Aurora theater shooting, April 22nd, 2012. The perpetrator is a 29-year-old Kieran Parker, recently released convict just out of jail. The victim is one congregant, and the shooter himself, who was killed by a congregant carrying a gun. So Mr. Parker went in and shot someone and was immediately shot by someone else who had a gun. The tragedy is 2 human lives, okay? One innocent, right? The shooter wasn't an innocent human life, but it was a human life that was lost, which is a tragedy. Now the impact, well, because the perpetrator was able to claim only one life before being killed himself by someone carrying a gun and acting in self-defense, it garnered relatively little publicity. I go around the state doing this presentation. I've done this presentation probably 30 times. So I probably visited with, I don't know, maybe 600-700 people. And I could probably count on one hand, 2 hands, the number of people who had heard about this tragedy in Aurora, Colorado, relative to the church, relative to the shooting at the church there. Now, why is that? How many here have heard about the shooting in the Aurora theater? Everyone. You had to be asleep not to hear that. Why is it that so few of us know about the Aurora shooting at the church just 3 months prior? Well, the obvious answer doesn't fit the story, does it? The story that the media tries to promulgate and say is that guns kill people. The second tale of one city doesn't teach that. It teaches that guns save lives. If all the congregants in the church had been unarmed, then this Mr. Parker could have carried out his evil acts as well and killed dozens of people as well. But he couldn't, because people are armed and guns saved lives. That doesn't fit with the storyline. He who has the gun has the control. Okay, that's kind of one of my favorite little idioms about gun control. He who has the gun has the control. Mao Zedong knew this. Who knows who Mao Zedong is? Mao Zedong went down in history, infamously killing at least 50 to 60 million of his own people, okay, murdering them. And here's what he said. Political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. Is that true? It is. Political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. So the question then becomes, if that political power goes out of the barrel of a gun, who's holding the gun? If the citizens are holding it, then there's political power with the citizenry. If they can't hold their own guns, only government holds the guns, then there's oppression, isn't there? There's tyranny. Because political power grows out of the barrel of a gun.